presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are so.
From beautiful Los Angeles, California and Dodger Stadium, it's time for Braves baseball. Another big crowd driving in for Game 2 of our three-game set. The Braves trying to even things up, but they've got their hands full tonight because Clayton Kershaw is on the mound. And Clayton Kershaw is the reigning pitcher in the month of May in the National League. 5-0, an astounding 65 strikeouts and only 2 walks. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe. Don't envy the Braves batsmen tonight. They've got to find a way to beat Clayton Kershaw, and it won't be Mike Fultonevich going to the mound for Atlanta tonight. He's got a bum elbow. Bud Norris gets the ball instead.
Yeah, that's very disappointing. I thought it was going to be a good matchup of flamethrowers between Kershaw and Fultonevich, but Fulton's on the DL, and hopefully it won't be too serious trying to take care of those bone chips. In the meantime, Bud Norris gets his start, and it's the first start since April 27th. His numbers as a starter, absolutely horrible. In the bullpen, very good, and he was actually working late in the ball games around the 8th inning at times because of his effectiveness. Let's hope that whatever he learned while working in the bullpen, he can apply tonight.
The Braves saw Clayton Kershaw in Atlanta. Kershaw did not factor in the decision, a 2-1 Dodger win. The Braves picked up 10 hits in that game, so they know they can hit him. The question is, Joe, can they beat him tonight?
Well, you just can't eliminate anything. As this, we'll show you this video. Fastball, slider right there, back foot to the right-handed hitter. He's also got a tremendous curveball that you're about to see right here. Big drop over the top. He throws an occasional changeup, but it's mostly fastball, curveball, slider. He's very effective, and as those walks will show you, he doesn't put too many guys on base.
Big trophy case for Clayton Kershaw, and well-deserved since signing his gigantic contract with Los Angeles. He's 33 games over 500, and frankly, Joe, worth every penny.
Yeah, look at this company he's keeping right now with sub-3 ERAs over 7 straight years. Since 2011, he leads the major leagues in all of these key categories. This season, 21-1 strikeouts to walks, 105 strikeouts to 5 walks. Are you kidding me? Grab a bat, go up, swing it tonight, see what happens, get after this guy and try to get to him early.
And try to even up the series at a game apiece. It's a perfect night for baseball. The Braves and Dodgers meet in Game 2. Bud Norris, Clayton Kershaw. Plenty of fun coming away from Dodger Stadium, and the first pitch, too, right after this.
Atlanta Braves baseball is sponsored by Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, the Home Depot, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Welcome back to Los Angeles as the Braves take aim at Dodger left-hander Clayton Kershaw in Game 2 of our series. It's another perfect night for baseball. They had a giant crowd here last night, a big crowd again for a Saturday night special, and hopefully the Braves can get things squared away with Los Angeles tonight. Clayton Kershaw makes his way slowly to the center of the diamond. Here's how the Dodgers line up in the field. Kendrick Peterson and Trace Thompson left to right. Justin Turner, Chase Utley, Adrian Gonzalez, and of course Corey Seager, who had a 3-homer night here last night as a shortstop. A.J. Ellis is the personal catcher of Clayton Kershaw, and A.J. Ellis has caught a lot of strikes and a lot of wins for the Dodger left-hander so far in 2016.
I don't know if there's anything better than first, so we'll just start here with Clayton Kershaw on ERA, strikeouts, innings, strike and walk ratio, and whip. That's walks and hits per inning pitched. He's averaging almost a half.
We showed earlier, Tom Seaver, Greg Maddux had numbers like Clayton Kershaw, but really, have you ever seen anything like this from this?
The only guy I can put next to it is that he's kind of the modern day Maddux. Everything that Greg did was at the top of the list on all pitching categories. It may not have been in strikeouts because Greg didn't strike out that many guys, but everything else, it's comparable to when Greg had that stretch of 4 straight Cy Young awards. That's what it reminds me of in terms of the dominance. He has been absolutely amazing. 28 years old, 6'4", solid 225 out of Dallas. He was the #1 pick of the Dodgers back in '06. He was the 7th pick in the draft after being the high school Gatorade High School Player of the Year.
7th pick.
There we go again.
Oops.
Yeah.
And here's the lineup he'll face for Atlanta in Dodger Stadium tonight. Enter Ciarte will lead things off. Darno, Freeman, Francoeur batting cleanup. Markakis 5th. Flowers, Garcia, Castro, and Bud Norris. But remember, Atlanta did a good job against Clayton Kershaw. They had 10 hits against him, and Were it not for a remarkable double play start by Chase Utley on a rocket hit by Matt Whistler, Braves might have beaten Clayton Kershaw down in Atlanta.
Absolutely. Base runners all over the place. They just couldn't get that one hit.
So off we go in game 2, and Inciarte skies it out of play foul. Strike 1. Another warm, muggy night in Los Angeles. 84 degrees at first pitch. Inciarte 0 for 4 last night. In the stretch of a 1 for 20 slide at the plate. Quickly 0-2 for Ender, and out of play. As you'd expect, left-handers do very little with Clayton Kershaw. They're hitting collectively just 136 against him, and he has struck out almost half of the left-handed batters he's faced all year long.
Got 2 breaking balls to put him away with.
And a topper hit towards second. Utley's got that, and there's the first out.
With right-handers, he likes to establish his fastball in early. He throws 92 to 95, then throw that back foot slider down and into them. If that hasn't worked to get an out, then he goes away hard to see if he then will chase out there. Speaking of chase,
we've got 2 chases in this game. That might be a major league record. Chase d'Arnaud, Chase Utley. As that one hits the inside corner for a strike. 6 multi-hit games for d'Arnaud this year. He too was 0 for 4 last night and enters play this evening with a .328 average. And a little pop into right center field, tailing away from Jock Peterson, who got a good jump. 2 up and 2 men down. It's always interesting to see how a manager crafts his lineup card against a player like Clayton Kershaw. Braves have a lot of left-handed thunder, and here are the head-to-head numbers on our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, you mix in Francoeur, those are pretty good numbers at the top of the order tonight. See if they can pad those averages.
Back to the screen for Freddie Freeman, who was 0 for 2, but a couple of walks. 9 homers, 16 RBIs for the Braves first baseman.
There's a big curve, but it wasn't a good one. Doesn't often throw that the first pitch. He'd rather save it so that you don't have a chance to time it. In other words, if he shows it to you early in the count, he doesn't like to go back to it for a put away pitch.
Fastball coming, 1-2, and Freeman didn't get it, and Clayton Kershaw has his first strikeout of the night, and he retired the Braves very quickly in the top half of the first inning.
Top of the first, now turns things over to the Dodger offense, which hit 4 homers in Game 1 last night. And Bud Norris called back out of the bullpen with Mike Foltynewicz going to the disabled list.
You see these splits between the starting rotation and the bullpen quite drastic. And that 196 ERA, 217 average against was very good because he was really utilizing his fastball well out of the bullpen. His 4 keys tonight. Well, you know he's going to have a lot of adrenaline getting back in the rotation here. So he's got to have to kind of control that so he doesn't overthrow. And if you got 5 in you, you know, I don't know about his conditioning. If he gave the Braves 5 innings tonight, that'd be a real bonus.
And his first offering of the night is in for a strike to Chase Utley, who did something I don't remember Utley ever doing. He'd strike out 4 times in a game.
Pretty much on the same pitch every time, all swinging.
Utley at 276. And that just missed. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, adrenaline can be a wonderful thing, but if you're overthrowing and get behind these Dodgers hitters or walk some guys, that's not a good thing. Last night's hero, 2 homers to right, 1 to left.
Oh, Norris thought that was strike 3, but Kerwin Danley thought otherwise. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ripped down the right field line and foul. Nice grab. She ought to be smiling after handling that hot one-hopper.
Good glove, good smile.
Swing and a miss. Utley has struck out 5 times in this series. So Bud Norris off to a good start. And here's Corey Seager. Listen to his hand.
And the same pitch that he spanned on last night 4 times. Make it a 5th tonight.
We were told last night that Corey Seager became the first Dodger rookie since Don Demeter to hit 3 home runs in a game as a rookie player. Well, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, that's not accurate. Seager is the first Dodger rookie.
Oh, really?
The reason for that was the threshold for at-bats for rookie status was lower in 1959 than it is today. This one's grounded out towards second. Demeter came up and played for the Dodgers in 1958. He had 109 at-bats in the major leagues. At the time of his 3-homer game, the threshold for rookie status was 90 at-bats.
Oh.
So because of that technicality, Seager last night became the first Dodger true rookie with 3 homers in a single game.
Yeah, the smarty pants at Elias, you know, always trying to stiff the old guys.
I'll bet Don Demeter is just kicking things wherever he's watching.
Yes, he is.
He's in the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, by the way, after a terrific major league career with numerous clubs. So 2 quick outs for Justin Turner, and these guys went out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, you look at this Dodger lineup, there really isn't anybody that scares you an awful lot, other than maybe Adrian Gonzalez. And that's maybe the most perplexing thing about this Dodger team. They have got to win with excellent pitching. And Certainly they've done that with Clayton Kershaw. They don't score a ton of runs. They don't hit for a high average. They don't steal a lot of bases.
If we take Kershaw's numbers and his record away from this team, they're a sub-500 team, and their team ERA, for starters, drops down to the middle of the pack in baseball.
There's another good pitch from Norris. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now, in fairness to the Dodgers, they have used the disabled list 15 times this year. So they really haven't had their club together since the opening bell. But with Kershaw out there, they're awfully tough. And Norris works a 1-2-3 first, matching a goose egg for Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers starter. After 1, it's 0-0 with Jeff Francoeur going to work.
Pitches wherever he wants when he wants. You know, he's got his fastball 94, 95. He can work in and out. A huge curveball at 72, and then a great slider. So when you have 3 phenomenal pitches, and from the left side, you can be pretty good. So I mean, he's as good as advertised, and we know we got a workout cut for us.
So we saw he was as good as advertised. 3 up, 3 down in that first inning. I want to go back to May. He had more complete game shutouts than he did strikeouts. It's just incredible month for him. And Frenchie up to bat now. We'll see if he can get the Braves on the board.
Thank you, Kelsey, as Kershaw goes to work and misses inside. 1 ball, no strikes. I think Kelsey meant he had more complete games than walks.
Yeah, right.
In the month of May. As that one's cut on and missed, and the numbers are so spectacular, you can understand how you might get them jumbled up.
Well, I mean, there's so many.
Right. Where do you start with this guy? Hard hit ball and a base hit by Jeff Francoeur. Jeff continues his sizzling work against lefties. He came in with a .339 mark. And there goes the no-hitter for Clayton Kershaw, a leadoff single to start the second inning.
Fastball in, then a slider, then a fastball in. And Jeff was ready for that second fastball. Put some hits together, back them up.
Yeah, the Braves had 10 against Kershaw back in Atlanta. There's the first. Here's Nick Markakis. And that's fouled off Ellis's glove. It's a swinging strike. Kershaw 2-0 lifetime against the Braves, a 169 career earned run average over 7 games. 10 earned runs in 54 1/3 innings of work. And that's down and in for an even count. It's 1-2.
In that game in Atlanta, a few of the innings that the Braves put some hits on the board and had him in some trouble came with 2 outs. They couldn't quite get that 2-out hit that it was going to take the lead or knock him out of the game. A lot of guys left on base, and as you pointed out earlier, a tremendous double play turned by Utley, I believe, in the 2nd inning of that game.
It's a hard hit ball off the bat of Matt Whistler. And I think Kershaw just balked. He did. They might have had Francoeur picked off, and the reason for that was Kershaw committed a balk, and he's looking at Joe West and asking for an explanation. So is Chase Utley. And so is Dave Roberts, the Dodger skipper.
Well, he was leaning to first, I know that. It was an early call from Joe West.
So Adrian Gonzalez and Chase Utley continue to ask for an explanation. Dave Roberts didn't get to the third base line before he was ushered back to the dugout. And Francoeur in scoring position with nobody out from Markakis.
Joe West kind of pointed to his leg like he stepped more toward the plate than to first base.
Well, Joe could see that. He's got his blue blockers on over there at first base. Two balls, 2 strikes. Kershaw with his 3rd balk of the year. And Markakis just able to stay alive.
See which direction. Yeah, that right foot went a little more toward home plate than it should have.
So again, a 2-2 count for Nick Markakis. He's done a good job with runners in scoring position. Let's see if he can move Francoeur over. Ball in the dirt. And no advance. Full count. If you're not sure in that spot, don't go.
Yeah, that's true. And Jeff didn't get a very good read off of it in the dirt. And at second base, it's very difficult when a ball goes, in this case, behind the hitter or behind the catcher. It's hard to tell how far the ball is away from the catcher.
Good battle with Nick Markakis.
Kershaw's last start was in New York against the Mets. He pitched into the 8th inning, gave up 4 hits and 2 runs. No walks, 10 strikeouts, and was not happy about being taken out of the ball game in the middle of the 8th inning. He said, but that's a decision the manager makes, and they're tough decisions, and he has to respect that. But he wanted to stay in the game.
Swing and a miss. Markakis can't advance Francoeur, and that's Kershaw's 2nd strikeout. Watching this guy pitch reminds me of Madison Bumgarner for obvious reasons. It's almost like he gets madder when there are runners at 2nd and 3rd, and his stuff gets even tougher.
I think you're right. The competitive nature of both of them is very high, but it gets ramped up a little bit in these situations.
So Tyler Flowers with Francoeur at 2nd and 1 out now. Takes a little low. Tyler at .253 on the year, a couple of homers, 11 RBIs. That disappeared at 88 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's a hard slider, and it's a sharp breaker. Easy to swing right over the top of it if you're a right-handed hitter.
Well, the last time Clayton Kershaw has trailed in a game was May 17th. That was 3 starts ago in a matchup with the Angels. He gave up a run in the second, and the Dodgers won the game 5-1. Braves have a shot at him here in the second themselves, with Tyler Flowers up and a bouncing ball toward third. Big hop, Turner, long throw on the money. Francoeur all the way across, makes it to third base on the return throw, and he's 90 feet away now with 2 outs.
Third baseman number 13, Garcia.
Over the top, looked like a changeup maybe that he was early on. And Francoeur was ready to go as soon as Turner threw the ball over there.
So can Garcia come up with a 2-out hit? Kershaw works out of the stretch. And that's a little low. 1 ball, no strikes. A lot of foul ground behind home plate. If he gets away from A.J. Ellis, Jeff will have a chance perhaps to come home with the first run. Foul past third. It's an even count. Donis in a dry spell at the plate. He's got 3 hits in his last 25 tries. He's ahead of the Braves' third baseman. 1-2. As we mentioned, when he's in a tough spot, his stuff gets tougher to hit.
Situations like that and his numbers like that's why he's won 121 games and lost only 57. He throws harder than Bumgarner by a good amount. At their best fastball, Bumgarner's probably 91, sometimes 92, and Kershaw can go 95.
And I would think Kershaw is tougher to pick up because of the style of his delivery. Bumgarner's got that long, almost whip-like action, where Kershaw has the herky-jerk kind of peekaboo delivery, and then bang, the ball's on you.
Yeah, and he would jump at you real quickly and then throw an off-speed pitch, which gets you to jump at him.
And he strikes out Garcia. 3 strikeouts in the game. The Braves are 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position tonight. And after an inning and a half, still no score at Dodger Stadium.
Presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Another beautiful California evening. Saturday night in Los Angeles. No score. Braves and Dodgers. Game 2 here at Dodger Stadium. With Joe Simpson and Kelsey Wingard, Chip Carey, and the rest of our great Fox Sports crew with you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Bud Norris will go to work in the Los Angeles second and face Dodger first baseman Adrian Gonzalez. We didn't get to talk about this last night, so I wanted to get this in early. Is there a more underrated hitter in the National League than Adrian Gonzalez, in your opinion?
Perhaps not. He's solid year to year. Once in a while, he might have a stint where he's on the DL or misses a game or two, but always comes back hitting. Good location there. That's where Tyler Flowers wanted that pitch. Upstairs, and he still spoiled it.
Seven seasons of 100 RBIs for Adrian Gonzalez. .295 major league home runs. Originally a Florida Marlin.
Gosh, I forgot about that.
He went to Texas for Ugeth Urbina in a deal that was hugely important for Miami in 2003. Ground ball to second, takes care of Gonzalez.
Good fastball there from Bud Norris. Jammed him.
Right fielder number 21.
4 up, 4 down.
3 ground outs and a strikeout for Bud so far tonight. And here's Trace Thompson, who's hit a home run for Los Angeles in back-to-back games. We mentioned last evening Thompson getting extended playing time now that Yasiel Puig is hurt. And Thompson has put up big numbers now over an extended period of playing time. And he takes a called strike. 8 homers, 16 RBIs since April 28th.
Yeah, that's hot. Playing solid right field for them also.
Nothing in 2.
And there's his best pal. He and Seager hang out together. They're both supposed to be top-notch kids.
And it's in the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, you look at this Dodger club. Between Jock Peterson, Seager, Thompson, they do bring a very young factor to this Dodger club. One that frankly I think they need. This is not a young group. Adrian Gonzalez has been around a long time. We know all about Chase Utley. Justin Turner's played a long time in the major leagues. Howie Kendrick, who's playing tonight, has been around seemingly forever. So that's good news for the Dodgers, who, as you know, for so many years had one of the best farm systems in baseball.
Absolutely, and their bullpen is good, real good. And they have an ace in Clayton Kershaw, but the other guys are going to have to start filling in some gaps and pitching some innings, because he's averaging pitching 8 innings a start, and the other guys are averaging, I think, 5.
2 balls, 2 strikes. But one thing you know about the Dodgers with their ownership is this: at the trading deadline, money is no object. They can and will go out and do whatever they have to do if they think they've got a shot to pass the Giants and make a deep run in postseason play.
And one would think that they would be willing to eat some salary if they had to let somebody go too.
And they do have the oldest active roster in the National League, almost 30 years of age. And that includes the 3 youngsters I just mentioned. It takes care of Thompson. Another ground out for Norris. 2 up, 2 down. And here's Jock Peterson.
Center fielder number 31, John Peterson.
Maeda pitched last night, was very shaky early, but then figured things out and rolled merrily along. As the Dodgers won last night with 4 solo homers. They didn't have a single in the game, if memory serves.
They did not.
4 homers and a double.
Correct. That belonged to 2 guys. Singer and Thompson.
Man. Last time the Dodgers didn't have a single in a game was when Jake Arrieta no-hit him. Jock Peterson down a strike. He was 0 for 4 last night. His goal is to be a much more consistent hitter. He had plenty of peaks, but an awful lot of valleys last season and again this year. He will hit his share of home runs, but he strikes out an awful lot. .160 at bats this year, 53 strikeouts, 23 walks.
And it's like we talked about last night. There's just has not to this point been much willingness to cut down on his swing.
This one's down the right field line, and it is a fair ball. Peterson around first on his way to second. And he's got a 2-out, 2-base hit, the first safety of the night for the Dodgers. And Peterson's reached base for the 9th time in 11 games in his career against the Braves. And this one comes with 2 outs.
And they still don't have a single in this series. Right on the chalk. Nice job by the ball person, security person, whatever that was, to get out of the way.
So with a runner at second for the first time, Tyler Flowers out with a new set of signs for Bud Norris. As Howie Kendrick strides to the plate. Kendrick for years was a great second baseman with the Angels. He's been a jack of all trades for the Dodgers this year, but hitting just .224 overall. Well, it was an interesting deal the Dodgers made to get him from the Angels. They traded left-handed pitcher Andrew Heaney for him before last season. And then, late in the year, they added Chase Utley too.
Yeah, it made it kind of hard on Don Mattingly.
Ground ball hit towards second. Darno's got it. And his throw to first is in plenty of time. And Norris is doing a heck of a job. He's getting the ball on the ground, and he's matching zeros with Kershaw. Face the bottom part of the Atlanta order, and it's time for tonight's Home Depot tools from the dugout.
These are the 3 strikeouts upstairs. Breaking ball down and away, breaking ball down and in. Just exactly what you expect if you're looking at a scouting report on how he works. His ERA for the Dodgers 1.56, averaging 8 innings a start. There's the rest of their staff on the starters' ERA and innings per start. And as we said, their other starters have got to pick it up if they're going to hang close with the Giants.
And again, in fairness to Rick Honeycutt, their rotation isn't together right now. Ingenieure is still out with leg problems, shoulder problems. Alex Wood is out with a triceps problem. Brandon McCarthy got hurt before throwing a pitch this year. Brett Anderson got hurt before throwing a pitch this year.
I saw Alex Wood today before the game. I said, "How you feeling?" He said, "I feel good." He said, "I don't think this will be anything that's very complicated." I said, "Well, a little rest wouldn't hurt." And he goes, "Well, that's the idea. That's the thought behind all of it."
That stayed high for Daniel Castro, and Kershaw can't believe that. 3 balls and a strike.
Remember, 5 walks all year and 11 starts.
And Castro draws a base on balls. He might want to ask for the baseball.
No kidding.
And that will allow Norris a chance to bunt him to second base. You don't get many opportunities against Kershaw. You at best cash them in when you get them. Atlanta had a shot in the second inning with Francoeur at second and nobody out. Markakis struck out, Flowers grounded out, and Adonis Garcia struck out with Jeff at third base. And the bunt popped up, but no play. It's out of reach of Adrian Gonzalez. Strike 1.
A couple of sacrifices for Bud on the year. He also hit a triple. And that accounts for his 1 hit.
And another pop up over toward the Braves dugout. No balls, 2 strikes. Tonight the Braves play game number 55. We are 1/3 of the way through this 2016 season.
Leave the bunt on. Let's see. Didn't get the bat out in front on the first 2 tries.
Pulled the bat back. 1-2 the count. He got it down. And there's 1 play. Good sacrifice by Bud Norris. Castro to second. And Ender Inciarte is coming up.
Well done. You're right, Chip. A leadoff walk with the pitcher coming up and an opportunity to bunt him into scoring position. You got to do your best to take advantage of every chance you get.
Inciarte rolled out to second to start the game. So he's 0 for 5 in the series so far. He lays down a bunt. Ellis pounces. His throw to first is in time. He got Ender by a step. So Castro's at third base, but the Braves are down to their last out in the 3rd inning.
That was a great idea, but that area in front of home plate looks really wet. And when it hit in front of home plate, it just died. And that gave A.J. Ellis a chance to get to it before it got to the grass.
So Chase Darno's the batter with 2 outs. And again, Kershaw works out of a stretch. Chance popped out of play, foul. And a great catch by a fan from Mission Viejo. Little roller. Kershaw scrambles, third base line, throws to first and made a terrific play. A swinging bunt almost turned into an Atlanta run, but no such luck. And still scoreless in L.A.
Presented by State Farm.
Gave up a leadoff walk, only his 6th walk of the year. Not a single one of his walks have scored so far in 2016. A couple of bunts and a swinging bunt kept the Braves off the scoreboard.
Kind of goes to that hitting with runners in scoring position against him and how low it is.
The Braves tonight are already 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, and in their last 16 games, including tonight's work, Braves have 17 hits and 121 attempts with a man at second and third.
Get it done, will it?
No. So A.J. Ellis facing Bud Norris, now at even count. The man that's the personal catcher of Clayton Kershaw. Talk about sitting in a rocking chair. That's what he's got the luxury of doing behind the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And he knows his stuff so well. And from game to game, what, if anything, is not working, how to get it working.
That's driven down the right field line and into the big crowd. Here to celebrate Don Sutton Pin Night.
They have a series of giveaways on the pins for retired numbers, and Don's number 20 is the pin tonight. Don, however, not here tonight.
So far, so good for Bud Norris. He's allowed 1 Dodger base runner. That was a Jock Peterson 2-out double last inning. To short. Castro played it back and got the catcher by a step and a half. And there's out number 1. Clayton Kershaw helped himself with some terrific defensive work in the Braves' 3rd. Following through right toward the third base line, but having to pick it up with his glove, transfer, and make a throw while he's planting his foot. Well done. Toyota, key play. He's trying to help Gonzalez jump if he needed to. So Clayton digs in. And he looks at a strike.
6 for 31 with a double. Does not have a sacrifice bunt. Has pinch hit once for the Dodgers.
He's a career 153 hitter. And that's a little low. 2 balls and 1 strike. Kershaw, a terrific pitcher, also a wonderful philanthropist. He and his wife have what's called Kershaw's Challenge. Fans can donate money based on some of his statistical performances, and those funds go to fund an orphanage in Zambia. Clayton's been involved with that for several years. And now he's ahead in the count. 3 balls and a strike. And now it's 4. That's it the other way. Great stop, Castro from his knees. Not in time. Infield hit for Kershaw. What a glorious stop by Daniel Castro. And he almost robbed Kershaw of a 1-out hit.
Boy, Clayton picked this off right off the top of the ground. And Daniel, that's all he could do was throw from his knees. He didn't have time to get to his feet and still got quite a bit on it. 1 hopper over there. Good play. Good try. And Kershaw get tired running the bases.
Chase Utley hasn't made contact in the series. Last night, his 2nd career 4-strikeout game. The last came in 2007 when he was with the Phillies. He's already struck out once tonight. This one skied towards center, and it's playable for Inciarte shy of the track.
He wasn't going to let it get to a deep count, was he?
No. And he almost hit it out to straightaway center.
Yeah.
So here's Seager. He grounded out to second, and the Dodger first. Los Angeles has the luxury of seeing the Giants score already posted. The Cardinals came back and beat San Francisco 7-4. It was 4-0 Giants, and then the Cardinals started hitting home runs. And they tattooed Jeff Samardzija, who lost for a 2nd straight time. The Braves took care of him down in Atlanta, you'll recall. So LA entering play tonight, 5.5 games off the pace in the National League West. Two balls, 1 strike.
Good breaking ball.
And another beauty. 2-2.
First one was a little harder than that one. Took a little bit, just a little bit off of it. Had him well out in front. But's feeling pretty good about his fastball location away to lefties. He's throwing his 94, on occasion 95 fastball to that outside corner to lefties. And about all they've been able to do is foul it off.
Didn't get the inside corner. And now it's a full count. Turner's on deck. Clayton Kershaw will lead from first and be off with the pitch. And it's in the dirt. Ball 4. Kershaw around second. Will stop there. And Bud Norris now with some two-out trouble. First and second for Turner in a scoreless game.
Justin Turner.
Justin Turner's been quite a find for this Dodger ball club.
Yeah, he turned himself from a utility player for the Mets into a solid three-hole hitting everyday third baseman for the Dodgers. Some real good back-to-back seasons.
There's that fastball location you were talking about. Turner started his big league career with the Orioles. We saw him a lot with the Mets. Hit .340 2 years ago in LA, .294 here last year with 16 homers, which was a new career high. Turner's 31. He'll be 32 in November. And played at Cal State Fullerton and was a College World Series champion back in 2004. Up the middle. That's a base hit. Here comes Kershaw around third. Enciarte's throw is coming to third. And everybody's safe. Seager beat the ramp at third. The throw to third allowed Turner to move to second. And it's 1-0 Dodgers. And Adonis Garcia is slow to get up at third base.
That was a weird sequence. Slider, he hits it back through the middle, and Inciarte is going to come up throwing. Look where Ender's playing, though. He's over on the right center field side of second, so he had a long way to go. And since I'm going to assume that since his momentum was taking him toward third base, he elected to try to get Seager, but his throw was way off the mark. If he gets him at third base, it's a good play. But by doing that, he allowed Turner to get into second.
Or a hit could score 2 runs instead of just 1. And it's already 1-0 in favor of Kershaw, who scored the first run tonight. Adrian Gonzalez bounced out to second. And he takes one back to the mound. It hits off the heel of Norris's glove. And that'll take care of the Dodgers in the third inning. Clayton Kershaw's infield hit turns into the game's first run, and we're off to the fourth. Freeman leading off. It's time for tonight's Toyota Tweet of the Week. Tonight's question is, who's the best pitcher in baseball and why? Tweet us at Fox Sports South using Best in Baseball. And your answer could be read during our Braves Live post-game show. That's hashtag Best in Baseball. Who is the best pitcher in baseball and why? Dodger fans will tell you it's Clayton Kershaw. The Giants fans will tell you it's Madison Bumgarner. The Mets will tell you it's DeGrom or Syndergaard. But it's tough to top the numbers of Clayton Kershaw in the month of May. And it's awfully tough to beat what he's done in his last 4 on his home mound.
Yeah, pretty good, huh? 2 walks, 45 strikeouts in 35 innings here at Chavez Ravine. 4-0 with an 0.26. And only 12 hits in 35 innings. It's just crazy. That's just nonsense, Chip.
Remember when Bob Gibson had a 1.12 ERA? And Denny McClain won 30 or 31 games, I forget which, for the Tigers. They lowered the mound as this one's hit toward left center field. And that'll get down for a hit. Jock Peterson's over quickly, and Freddie's got a base hit. Maybe just to make it fair, Clayton Kershaw should pitch between the mound and second base. Give the rest of Major League players a fighting chance against him.
It's a decided advantage where he is right now. There's one of those high curveballs. Freddie looked like he was sitting on it. Hit it well.
So the Braves have 2 hits now. Jeff Rancourt had the first. He rifled a single past Turner into left field, leading off the second inning. And he went after the first pitch here. Talk with Jeff about how you approach Clayton Kershaw, and you heard what he said with Kelsey earlier on tape. He has 3 #1 pitches, and he can throw them for strikes at any count. He can throw them for strikes at any location in the strike zone.
Either side of the plate.
So from a hitter's standpoint, there's nothing you can eliminate.
There's nothing to eliminate. Talked to Kevin Seitzer about that before the game today. And he said you just have to understand that he's going to make quality pitches. And if you get one to hit, you can't miss it.
Did it go? Joe West says no. Francoeur 4 for 10 now against Clayton Kershaw head to head.
So he checked his swing on a good fastball. He's a little off the plate outside. Then he comes back in with a slider. See if he stays in or goes back out again, just to keep moving it in and out.
There's that lollipop, but it missed.
He threw a curveball in Atlanta that was like an ephus pitch. Remember that?
I do. What a battle with Francoeur here.
Jeff's right on that one.
Another foul ball will force another Kershaw pitch.
I tell you though, the pitchers pitch in this ballpark, it's not exactly the pesky pole down the lines, but that's the closest spot to hit a home run is right down the line, because the fences really drop back sharply at the foul pole. And the pitchers in this ballpark are giving up a lot of cheap homers that just snake around that pole.
The 8th pitch of the at-bat earns Kershaw a strikeout. That's his 4th in the game. 1 on, 1 out for Nick Markakis, and that breaking ball is such a wonderful weapon for Clayton Kershaw.
An .088 average against it. 14 for 160. Freddie Freeman just bumped that average up with his hit this inning.
Braves need to get Nick Markakis going again. After a .302 April batting average, Nick slid to a .190 mark in May. And he's 0 for 5 so far here at Dodger Stadium. Nick comes in as the club leader in RBIs at 29. Two balls, 1 strike.
Kershaw not happy with his location on that pitch. Aggravated at himself. It's a very unusual wind up in delivery. It's an even more odd stretch in delivery. His glove right on top of the baseball. He comes down.
Hit the other way. Turner scoops it up. Second for 1. Utley to first in time. It's a double play. No runs, a hit. Nobody left. Kershaw, a shutdown inning. He leads 1-0.
Aaron waiting, the outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone. What a marvelous moment for baseball. What a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world.
That's our Greatness Made Here feature, brought to you by Synovus, the Bank of Here. That call by Vin Scully at Old Fulton County Stadium was heavily edited. And by that I mean, after Vin's call of the home run ended, Buckner to the wall and it's out of here. Vin Scully took off his headsets, went to the back of the booth, and didn't say a word for several minutes while the crowd just roared and the fireworks went off and the celebration took place at Fulton County Stadium. And then only after those few minutes passed did he come in and make that incredibly poignant call about Henry Aaron in the state of Georgia and what that home run meant to the country as a whole. We all know the incredible voice of Vin Scully. It's unmistakable. But no one used silence better than Vin Scully behind the microphone.
Yeah, it was great.
Trace Thompson gets things started for the Dodgers here in the 4th inning. Bud Norris has pitched a good ball game. He's down a run. An infield hit by Clayton Kershaw last inning resulted in the first and only run tonight.
That and a walk.
Yeah.
After he was ahead in the count on Seager, lost him.
And Thompson walks to get things started for the Dodgers in the 4th. One of your 4 keys was 5. Can Bud Norris go 5? Is he stretched out enough to get to 5 tonight?
Well, he's gone 60 pitches right now, so he's on pretty thin ice where that is concerned in terms of being stretched out and being able to go this deep. He was working kind of in long relief when he first went to the bullpen, and then all of a sudden he was pitching well and went to the latter stages as a setup guy, where he was typically only working about an inning. Oh, what a save. My goodness. Athletic play there by Freddie.
Thompson at first, Jock Peterson in the box. Peterson doubled in his first at bat. And that one a strike. It's 0-1. It's already been a better start for Norris than the last time he started for the Braves back on April 27th. He gave up 6 runs in an inning and a third against the Red Sox. But as Joe mentioned, much better work in relief with a 1.96 ERA. This one is hit towards second and Thompson back to first. Peterson saw it off. 1 on, 1 out.
Number 47.
So a soft liner takes care of the Dodgers center fielder. And Howie Kendrick is coming up. I mentioned he's played all over the place for Los Angeles this year. 14 games at second, 20 games in left where he's playing tonight. 9 games at third base and 7 at first. The vast majority of Kendrick's playing experience in the big leagues has been as a second baseman.
Yeah, I think he missed some time, missed a few games because of a sore shoulder from playing at first base. I'm not sure what caused it, but that's why he missed a few games, and he was really beginning to get his swing together too, bumping his average up.
Close play at first. Freddie looked in toward Terry Pendleton, who's going to head to the dugout phone. Did Thompson get back in?
Like a high tag. Leaning on the shoulder blade, and it looked like his hand got in there.
It's one of the new jobs as a bench coach. Get to the phone and coordinate the replay decisions as to whether or not to challenge a call. No balls and a strike. Terry Pendleton, the new Braves bench coach. Brian Snitker, of course, new manager, and Eddie Perez, the Braves' first base coach.
If Bud wants to go another inning, if he wants to pitch in the 5th, a double play right here would sure help his cause.
Well, there's nobody up in the Atlanta bullpen. So Brian Snitker sees no drop off in Norris's stuff. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Last inning when they sent 5 men to the plate, when he had the longest inning. Added 6 men to the plate.
Runner goes. The pitch, a ball. The throw to second is not in time. Darno with a swipe tag might want to have this one checked on review.
That was the moment released by Tyler Flowers.
For the moment, Thompson's in safely.
Upright start, crossover step. Hey. Yeah, that might be worthwhile. Got him on the hind pockets, but I'm not sure his left leg was on the base.
And the Braves aren't going to challenge the call at second base. Ramon De Jesus was the man that made the safe call at second. The Braves are going to review the call.
Right there is when the tag was applied, and his foot wasn't on the base. Kind of a groan from the crowd too when they saw the replay.
So Joe West will join the review. Looked to us like Thompson was out. Will there be enough evidence to change the call of safe at second base?
If you weren't with us last night, Ramon De Jesus, the first big league umpire from the Dominican Republic. Yeah, he's out. Will they overturn it? Is a different story.
Dave Roberts knows a thing or two about big stolen bases, doesn't he?
Sure does.
So the verdict is, oh, not in. Joe West's all tangled up. Was it a swipe tag? Did Darno make contact?
I think from that angle, it basically proves that he tagged him. And then when you see the angle from the third base side, you realize that at the point where you saw the tag on the other replay, you know his foot's not on the base. Well,
this is the maddening part.
Coffee's getting cold.
Yeah, that's the frustrating part. Decision is in. Wow.
Brutal.
Not only did it appear they tagged him on the backside before his Right foot got to the base. When the tag was applied, it looked like he overslid with the right foot. So the challenge is lost by Brian Snitker. The call stands. Thompson's at second. And now it's a full count for Howie Kendrick. And ball 4. So 2 on, 1 is out.
Number 17, AT LAN.
Walks have been instrumental in the last couple innings, having Bud Norris in some problems.
But if he can get a ground ball, something he's done a lot of off the bat of Ellis, that would end the inning. Ellis has hit 2 double plays. And the Dodgers have hit 47 of them this year. One ball, 1 strike. Fly ball center, well struck. Inciarte going back onto the warning track and right at the edge of the fence. He's able to haul it in, and a strong one-hop throw to second keeps Kendrick at first, but Thompson moves up 90 feet. They're at the corners. 2 outs, and Clayton Kershaw is the batter. Ellis just missed.
Number 22, Clayton Kershaw.
Didn't expect that from Ellis. And Eric O'Flaherty is getting busy.
So Thompson led off the inning with a walk. Peterson lined out. Thompson stole second base. The replay official could not determine whether or not a tag was actually applied. Kendrick walked. Ellis flies out. Now Kershaw. Runner tries to steal second, and he's safe. Kendrick in at second base. The Braves are already out of challenges. They can't question this call, as Castro came flying across to catch the baseball and apply the tag to Kendrick, who dove in safely.
That one was a little harder to determine. We'll see a better angle here to see if he got it on the leg, and he did.
No balls and a strike.
2 good throws from Tyler Flowers, and got neither call. Granted, this one was up the line a little bit, but Kendrick hadn't gotten to the base yet. Nice effort by Castro. Might have gotten dinged. Well, needless to say, you got to get the pitcher here. Can't afford to let him slide and have to pitch then to Utley.
That's why O'Flaherty's getting ready so quickly. If Kershaw reaches, it figures to be Eric versus Utley. 2 balls, 1 strike. Strike three called, and Norris is out of it. A couple of walks, a couple of stolen bases, but a very big strikeout for Bud Norris sends us to the 5th inning in a 1-0 game.
By authority of the Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
One of the things that makes Clayton Kershaw so effective is his ability to go deep in ball games, and he can go deep in games when you're only averaging 13 pitches an inning. That's outstanding. Matt Whistler, outstanding as well, right in there in 2nd place. We'll see him tomorrow.
Against Scott Kazmir for Los Angeles. We're off to the 5th, 1-0. And Tyler Flowers leads things off.
That was our Academy Sports and Outdoor leaderboard.
Flowers, Garcia, and Castro coming up for Atlanta. No swing. And Kershaw in danger of issuing his 2nd walk tonight. Remember, he walked 2 men the entire month of May. To 3rd, diving stop Turner, and a perfect throw to 1st. What a play.
What a shame for Tyler Flowers, who hit that right on the button. Crossover step.
Number 13,
gets you there quicker. Nice play.
So Flowers 0 for 2. Here's Garcia. He struck out in the Braves' 2nd. And that was off his thumbs. Strike 1.
His delivery is unique, only to Clayton Kershaw. Watch that kick leg. It comes down, but it doesn't touch the ground. It just kind of pops in midair, and then he goes to the plate. I've never seen anything quite like that.
We've seen pitchers skip their foot in front. Rob Nen comes to mind.
Toe taps, right? But Kershaw doesn't touch. That way with a high high hook there.
He's not happy with a couple of pitches tonight. He's turned and walked very slowly back to the top of the mound. He's made a couple of mistakes and has lived to tell the tale to this point. Right side foul into the second deck. Little pop into center field. Jock Peterson's there. And Garcia's the second out.
Peterson wasn't sure how hard that was hit. He actually broke back on it, then came in.
Number 14, David Castro.
And here's Daniel Castro. How differently this game might turn out had he been able to take care of Clayton Kershaw. Remember, he made that diving stop up the middle, and Kershaw beat the rap at first. For an infield hit. Utley flied out. Seager walked, and then Turner brought home the first run with a base hit. Fly ball toward left. Howie Kendrick is in. He's got it. And Kershaw has an easy time with it in the top of the fifth. Top of the Dodger order coming up. They lead 1-0. I can't say the name of the Padres home ballpark either.
It's a simple one, gentlemen. It is Petco Park. If you'll say it phonetically.
Well, we're going to have 3 opportunities starting on Monday. San Diego's had the Rockies number this year. They're 5-2 against Colorado, and the Rockies had kind of a roller coaster year. They've dropped 12 of their last 16 games. You see Nolan Arenado get mad last night?
Well, I heard about it. I read that he kind of aired his team out. Said he was tired of losing.
Tired of losing. And the Padres have a different look to their ball club. They finished up their deal with the White Sox and traded James Shields to the Southsiders today, and picked up almost half of the money left on his $56 million remaining. on the contract.
Kerwin Danley's here. Is okay here. He got dinged last half inning on a foul tip. He's saying he's okay to the Dodgers training staff.
He got it in a better place than Tom Hallion did back in Atlanta.
Yes, he did. He knocked the wind out of him.
Oh, 2 for Chase Utley. No hits in the series. And still no hits in the series as Freeman makes a nice backhanded play. There's out number 1.
But Norris trying to go 5 innings. Up to 79 pitches. Got to give him a tip of the cap for coming in on short notice and not having been able to stretch it out. Get the normal amount of rest you would get before a start. He's done a great job. 1 run in 4 1/3 innings so far.
And this is Bud's first start here in Los Angeles since 2012 when he was with Houston. You're right, he has done excellent work in game 2 of the series. Three homers for Corey Seager last night. He's 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. And a far different performance against the Braves here in Los Angeles than we saw back at Turner Field, where he was 1 for 13 at the plate. He also struggled defensively. You can see why he's the #1 prospect in baseball with the performance he turned in game 1.
I didn't think so in Atlanta, though.
Right.
I was wondering what all the hoopla was about. He looked bad at the plate. He looked bad in the field. But that was just 1 series.
Three balls and a strike. Seager making a strong push for the Rookie of the Year honors. 3rd among National League rookies in hitting, 2nd in homers, 2nd in RBIs, 1st in hits. Ground ball to 2nd. Darno's got that. And there's the 2nd out. Boy, Bud Norris has done a heck of a job of getting the ball on the ground in tonight's ball game.
3rd baseman, Justin Turner.
We may have been shortchanging him, thinking about him going 5 innings. He's due up first in the top of the 6th. We'll see how it works. O'Flaherty's throwing again in the Atlanta pen.
2 outs, base is empty for Justin Turner, who ends the game's only RBI. Couple of early opportunities against Kershaw, but couldn't cash him in. And Jeff Francoeur at 2nd with nobody out in the 2nd. Couldn't get the ball out of the infield. And Castro walked to lead off the 3rd. He was in scoring position. Valenciarte and Darno tapped out.
Yeah, Braves have left 2 men at 3rd base.
Three balls, 1 strike. Adrian Gonzalez waits next. Yankees coming up.
First baseman, Adrian Gonzalez.
But Norris will continue on against the Dodger first baseman. Adrian's pulled the ball twice and is 0 for 2 tonight. Another high pickoff attempt at first. You guys have those oven mitts when you were playing?
No, I wish I had. I had a bad habit of throwing my right hand back when I was sliding. Sliding feet first, and I was always chewing the heel of my hand up, and also risking spraining my wrist by jamming it into the ground too.
Fly ball hit right at Markakis and right. And that will retire the Dodgers in the 5th.
But we didn't have ovens in those days.
Coal-fired stoves, huh?
Yeah.
1-0 as we go to the 6th.
Have found some food. This is called elote. It is grilled Mexican corn. I've never even heard of it, but it's grilled corn with mayo, cheese, and chili powder on it, which I think sounds absolutely phenomenal. So this is one of the other things I found in Dodger Stadium. Yesterday I showed you guys the Atlanta dog, and today it's elote.
Well, what do you think of it?
Okay, I'm trying. I'm going in. Oh yeah.
Winner?
Yep. Yep. If you need me, I'm gonna be back in my little corner.
You know, this is a risky career move, Kelsey. You know, corn on the cob is not the best thing to eat when you have to be on camera, right?
Yeah, and there's chili powders and mayo, so it's just like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to go brush my teeth after this.
I say, you have dental floss tonight, right? Take care.
No, but I'll brush my teeth.
Nice. There's a strike as Bud Norris continues on for Atlanta. It's almost going to be Dodger dog time up in the booth. 1-0 game, and Norris just got hit. He flings the bat away in frustration. It's the last thing Clayton Kershaw wanted to do in a 1-0 game. So there's a huge break for Atlanta.
Well, I'm proud of Bud for still being in the ball game to hit for himself. He obviously wanted to pitch deeper. Feels good. But for that, he paid a price. He got him right up under the left shoulder. Oh, right on the back of the shoulder. Ow. That did hurt.
Well, it's obvious that Clayton Kershaw is losing it.
Yeah. They better get their bullpen.
Yeah, he's hit his second batter this year. He's issued his 6th walk this year, and he only leads 1-0.
And yeah, he's in the stretch a lot. Clayton looking for any other response from Bud, who had come to his senses there, realizing he didn't want to hit me.
So Ender Inciarte's the batter, and he bunts this ball, and it was foul. He was nearly out of the box at contact.
So is Ender trying to bunt him over, or is he trying to bunt for a hit? He tried to bunt for a hit his last time up and couldn't get it off the dirt. If he's trying to bunt him over and get him in the scoring position, he needs to stay at home plate and not run out of the box.
Not bunting that time, and he didn't get it. 1-2. Former Dodger Chris Withrow is up in the Braves bullpen.
Second inning was when Frank Gore led off the inning with a base hit, was balked to second, and Kershaw pitched out of it. And Inciarte able to lay off these breaking pitches here to run the count full.
Short lead at first for Norris. And a mile-high pop. Seager behind the second base bag, drifts out. He's got it. And there's the first out of the inning.
I don't know. I mean, not just tonight. He's throwing a 2-hit shutout so far, which is nothing new to Clayton Kershaw. But I think you've almost got to be a little more. You've got to take a few more chances, be a little unconventional, try to create some openings by sending runners. Now, here you got the pitcher at first. Makes it kind of hard to hit and run, but he is a base runner.
A strike to Darno.
But that would certainly be unconventional.
If you're worried about fatigue for Bud Norris, you might think about having him out of the game anyway after this offensive inning for Atlanta. The bullpen continues to work. As that floater just missed, it's a ball and a strike. Pitches for Kershaw tonight. After 114 his last time out against New York. And that's one of his best fastballs of the night. That one at 93 miles an hour.
Yeah, and he elevated it. back foot attempt here. Nice stop. 116 is his season high in pitch count, and that was in the game against Atlanta on April 21st when he gave up 10 hits in 8 innings.
Two and two. And a ground ball right side. Utley gets there. Backhand flip, and d'Arnaud dives in safely for an infield hit. Great play by Utley to keep that ball on the infield. d'Arnaud, though, with a belly flop safely in at first, and the Braves have a threat. 2 on, 1 out.
Kershaw can't complain about his defense tonight on the infield. They've played terrific baseball. And look at d'Arnaud bolt out of there. You could see what was happening in front of him. And as much as you hate seeing hit first dives at first base, he seemed to weather that okay.
So here we are with Freddie Freeman. Braves are 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position tonight. And as you recall on the last homestand, this has been the area where Freddie Freeman has been extremely self-critical of his 2016 year.
Well, and it's so against everything he's ever done as a major leaguer in terms of hitting in the clutch. He's always been great.
Over 300 the last couple of years with runners at second or third base, but unbelievably this year Freddie just 6 for 45.
They had shifted on Freddie even with a left-handed pitcher. They had 3 guys on the right side with nobody on. Now they can't because they've got a chance for a double play perhaps, so they play it more conventionally.
Good take there. 2 balls and a strike.
Although Utley is way over toward the first base line, it almost makes you think that if there's a ground ball to third, that Seager will take the throw from Turner.
Two and two.
Late breaking, great location. And he'll do his best to throw your timing off with a slide step out of the stretch also. A real quick step and throw.
Popped up to left. Howie Kendrick camps out. And the fate of the inning rests on Jeff Rancourt.
Left fielder Jeff Rancourt.
So Ellis out to talk things over with the Dodger left-hander. Rancourt laced a single to left his first time up, struck out swinging back in the 4th.
Well, I think turnabout's fair play. Kershaw scored the only run for the Dodgers. How about Norris scoring the only run for the Braves if Jeff can get a base hit here? Sooner or later, the Braves are going to have to capitalize on these runners in scoring position against him.
They're 0 for 6 so far tonight. Jeff's been swinging a hot bat. Can he help the Braves break through here? And he was trying to hit a home run. Strike one.
Outside slider that time.
Now it's 0-2, and again, this is where Kershaw gets so tough. He gets met at second or third base, and he becomes even better.
I wonder if he will kind of go away from his profile here. Getting ahead in the count, typically he likes to go hard away to right-handers. I wonder if he'll stay with that slider. See what they choose to do.
Oh, a flinch by Kerwin Danley. The big slow curveball. Francoeur took it.
That was a heck of a pitch. Jeff may have gotten away with this one. A.J. Ellis wasn't headed to the dugout. That was still a good hook.
In the dirt, even count. Kershaw knows a thing or two about pitching in one-run games.
Guy's got some shoulders on him, doesn't he? Man.
Only Felix Hernandez has more wins as an active pitcher and getting one run of support than Kershaw, who has 7. Felix Hernandez has 8 such victories. That's your score tonight. But the Braves have a 2-out threat in the top of the 6th. And Francoeur awaits a 2-2 pitch. And he's run the count full after falling behind 0-2.
And he's just been able to lay off that slider down and in twice in a row. Nick on deck. But the good thing here is that the runners can get a head start. Just don't get picked off.
But Norris, the Braves pitcher, at second. Darno at first. And he can fly. The 3-2 to Francoeur. Hard shot. Right to the shortstop. Seager's got it, and the throw to first is in time. Can't hit it any harder than Jeff Francoeur did.
Hope Bud Norris is okay. He might have pulled something trying to get out of the way.
The Braves threaten but cannot break through, and Dodger fans can't mask their excitement with Clayton Kershaw on the mound. Braves fans, SunTrust Park season tickets are now on sale with a capacity of 41,500 and seats right on top of the action. SunTrust Park will offer the best sightlines in baseball. Act fast to get the best seats before they're gone. Go to Braves.com/SunTrustPark and get your tickets today. With our great stage manager and former gubernatorial candidate here in California, John Q. Reynolds. Joe Simpson, Chip Carey with you in Los Angeles, where the Dodgers maintain a 1-0 lead.
I had no idea what you just said, but I'm sure it was very valuable information. I can't hear you. I really can't. This is so stupid. This speaker system here is just the worst I've ever seen. Chris Withrow on the pitch for the Braves. Great work by Bud Norris, filling in for Mike Foltynewicz.
5 innings of 3-hit, 1-run ball. And Clayton Kershaw has scored the game's only run for Los Angeles. So Withrow, a former Dodger, will go to work with the middle of the order coming up. Thompson, Peterson, and Howie Kendrick. And that's way high. Chris picked up his first win as a Brave in his last outing. That was on June 1st against the Giants. Struck out 2 in an inning's worth of work. 11 of his 14 outings have been scoreless appearances in relief.
I think he'll just get better with each subsequent outing because I think he's beginning to trust his arm is okay. He's strong, throws hard. Jeff Porter was talking about that the other day, about how sure it's a huge physical effort to come back from Tommy John injuries or shoulder surgeries, but he said almost as difficult is the mental part. Once you start throwing, once the pitchers are back out there throwing, is trusting that it's going to be okay.
Braves got Withrow 1 year and 1 week ago in that 7-player deal with the Dodgers. Spent the entire season last year coming back from that Tommy John surgery. And he's going to try to keep it a 1-run game. And out of play by Thompson. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Joe Blanton has pitched scoreless baseball all year against Atlanta.
And a good 8th inning last night.
With all due respect to Joe Blanton, I'd rather see him than Clayton Kershaw. But we'll see. Full count. Peterson waits next. So Thompson walks to lead off the Dodgers' 6th. LA's been issued 5 walks tonight. 4 of them by Bud Norris. And here's Peterson, a double and a line out.
No matter how long Clayton Kershaw pitches, I mean, it makes it that much tougher, but you cannot give up more runs, and you got to do your best to make sure the Dodgers, if they put another run on the board, that they earn it, that you're not walking people.
Ground ball, foul at first.
That's a break. Freddie would tell you he didn't catch that because he didn't have to. Foul ball, and he knew it.
That's popped back our way. And an 0-2 count. Runner goes. Peterson pops it up left side. Braves had a nice deke. Thompson slid into second base, but he re-tagged and went back to first, and that ball hung up in the sky forever, so no trouble for him to get back. 1 on, 1 out for Howie Kendrick.
Trace Thompson, an athletic guy, reminds me in some ways of Chase Darno and how quick they are, what loose arms they have, what quick bats they have. Trace Thompson's got some home runs that Chase does not have, but good athletes both.
A double play would be nice. As Howie Kendrick takes slow. Matt Whistler and Scott Kazmir wrap up the series here tomorrow. First pitch at 4:10 Eastern time. Braves live at 3:30. And the Braves head down to San Diego for our first look at the Padres
at Petco Park.
Thank you. It's a busy week for the Braves. Western trip. And the draft is coming up on June the 9th. John Hart, John Campolella, the entire Braves baseball operations staff working hard in what should be a very exciting time. Braves have 5 of the top 80 picks coming up in the amateur draft. Again, the runner goes, and it's fouled straight back by Kendrick. Even count.
I think the Padres have 3 first-round picks.
Might be right.
The Cardinals have a couple also.
Atlanta also has about $13 million in bonus pool money to spend. It's been a focus under the new regime, international signings. Withrow has his side. The 1-1 pitch coming up for Howie Kendrick. And it's fouled off the screen. It's 1-2. Mets won tonight. They beat the Marlins 6-4. The Reds knocked off the Nationals 6-3. Steven Strasburg started that game.
That's 2 in a row for the Reds over the Nats.
And if Strasburg lost, his perfect season is over. He started at 9-0. And the Reds won 7-2 yesterday, 6-3 today. It's 1-0 Dodgers. Withrow goes to work and missed upstairs. 2-2. San Diego winning 4-3 over Colorado. That game's in the 6th down south. Runner goes, swing and a miss. Flowers' throw is going to be short of the bag. And that's a stolen base for Thompson. But Howie Kendrick is down on strikes. And 2 are away for the Dodgers in the 6th.
2 swipes for Thompson. Should have been just one. Like he was out earlier tonight on a call at second base where he's ruled safe.
So A.J. Ellis, the 8th place hitter, is up for the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw is not in the on-deck circle. It's Kike Hernandez. And if Kershaw doesn't continue, I wouldn't think it's pitch count that would get him tonight, but the stress of the number of pitches he threw.
Could be. The shortest outing of the year is 7 innings. This would become the shortest outing.
Earlier this year, the Braves tallied the highest hit total against Kershaw in a game pitched. And strike 2 as A.J. Ellis way behind. Thompson has a big lead out at second. Ellis putting up a fight with 2 out.
He's done that all night. Hit a deep drive to center his last time up. Trying to give his battery mate a little breathing room.
Hits are even at 3 apiece. It's been an errorless game. And Rizzo with another 0-2 pitch. And this one's popped up. Darno drifts back at second, says he's got it, and that will retire the side. We go to the 7th. Will Kershaw continue? We'll find out after a break. Continue. The answer to that is apparently no. Pats on the back for a job well done for the Dodger left-hander, who will depart after 6 innings of 3 hit shutout ball. And here's a summary of his night's work.
I mean, he was good. He wasn't great. He was fortunate to pitch out of some situations with runners in scoring position and make plays like this that saved a run earlier tonight. And I say that knowing he's thrown a 3-hit shutout ball for 6 innings. What I'm surprised at is that he's not still pitching. We'll find out later, I'm sure.
And the first pitch from Joe Blanton is a base hit to Nick Markakis. So one goal is taken care of. You got Kershaw out of the game. Goal number 2 is now get some offense going.
Yeah, with all due respect to Joe Blanton, who last night had a 3-up and 3-down inning, struck out 2. He's not Clayton Kershaw. And I know Nick Markakis would much rather face Joe Blanton, as he proved right there.
Joe's been around a long time. He's done good work for the Dodgers this year. Braves have the tying run aboard, and Tyler Flowers in the batter's box. Flowers is 0 for 2.
Tyler was robbed of a hit his last time up when he smoked one. Like he was headed for left field, and Turner made a good play on.
Ball, 2 strikes. Well, the challenge for the Braves now is, with Kershaw gone, to try to get something done against a Dodger relief corps that's been awfully good since May the 21st. They've only given up 7 earned runs in their last 48 1/3 innings. That's a 130 earned run average. And this one's hit hard towards center, but right at Jock Peterson. 1 out.
That's why I said earlier that with the bullpen doing what it's doing, I know they don't score a ton of runs, but they've still got to have more help, more support from their other 4 starters. Even in the absence of Ryu, Anderson, and now Alex Wood, somebody's got to step up.
Adonis Garcia, the batter. Drives one out of play, foul. Dodger relief corps has pitched now 168 2/3 innings. This is their 57th game. So do the math. Their relief corps is going about 3 1/3 innings per game. Boy, that keeps up. You get into late July, August, and September, and those guys will be pitching on fumes.
Saw Liberatore last night.
One ball and 2 strikes. That just missed.
I haven't seen Adonis really drive the ball since he's been called back up. Good time to do it right here.
He drives that one towards center. Peterson, though, excellent jump. Did he make the catch? Apparently so.
No,
they didn't make the catch. So a late signal, and the force out's going to be at second base. Garcia had made a right turn heading for the dugout, and confusion reigns here in Los Angeles. The force play will take care of Markakis. Garcia is going to stand at first.
That was a really late call by Mark Rippinger, who had the responsibility of making the call. He's the third base umpire. But you know what? He caught it.
So Brian Snitker's on his way out to talk to Joe West. The call was apparently a trap. And then the Dodgers threw back to first, trying to double up. Markakis thinking the ball was caught, and then the late signal of no catch was made. Then LA just flipped the ball back to the second base bag for the force out.
Well, they may have a choice here if the Dodgers want to check the ruling, because they could pick who they wanted to be the base runner. If they want to appeal this, Adonis Garcia's out, would be out, but they're not going to go to the replay on it. That was a good catch.
Shortstop Daniel Castro.
So that's a weird play. Garcia's aboard on the force play that goes 8-4. And 2 are out.
And in his defense, the line drives hit. He goes off the bag maybe halfway to second base to wait to see what was going to happen. Peterson comes up firing to first base, so naturally he didn't want to be doubled off first. He goes running back to first to make sure that doesn't happen.
Runner goes, pitch a strike, throw to second is late. And Chase Utley's looking at Corey Seager. There might have been a miscommunication as to who was supposed to cover on a stolen base attempt.
Huge jump by Adonis. No chance for Ellis, even though he put the throw right on the bag.
I think Utley was upset at Seager, but he was playing over toward the hole. It would have been a much longer run for Seager to get to the bag. So Garcia with a stolen base, his first. And now a hit by Castro could tie the game. Popped up right side. And a fan from Rialto, California, comes up with that souvenir. A lot of beautiful people in Rialto, California.
Apparently.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Grounded toward short. Seager charges, gloves, grabs, throws on the run. And Blanton and the Dodgers are out of things in the 7th. No runs, 1 hit, 1 controversial play, and a snow cone catch by Adrian Gonzalez. And we're a 1-0 game. Action away from the baseball, and unfortunately for home plate umpire Kerwin Danley, that was the case with Daniel Castro.
Oh man, he let go of the bat. Nick flipped right around and nailed Kerwin Danley on the elbow. mercy.
And as that play was being made by Seager, A.J. Ellis was gesturing toward the Dodger dugout to get the trainer out to attend to Kerwin Danley, who's going to stay in for this bottom of the 7th inning.
Certainly unintentional, but one of the hazards of being around those bats.
So Kike Hernandez will come on and pinch hit for Blanton, who turns in another scoreless relief inning. Chris Withrow out for his second relief frame, working behind Bud Norris.
His average isn't much, but we sure liked what we saw of this guy in Atlanta.
Takes the ball, 1 ball, no strikes. Swing and a miss. Told Kerwin Danley's had some issues in this ballpark before. In 2008. Brad Penny threw a fastball at 96 miles an hour that hit Kerwin Danley flush in the mask and knocked him out briefly.
No kidding.
And he had to be taken out of the stadium by ambulance. As Hernandez hits one a mile high down the left field line. Francoeur is there. He staggered a bit, and that's understandable. That thing was almost higher than the stadium roof.
Yeah, and you know how short that wall is over there by the foul pole. You want to get over there in case it has a chance to go out. And he almost overran it. Nice adjustment.
So that'll be all for Chris Withrow, who works an inning and a third with a strikeout. He also issued a base on balls. Top of the order coming up for the Dodgers. It's 1-0 late in game 2. Thursday, June 23rd, and Nick Markakis bobblehead will be your gift, presented by Delta Airlines. Get your tickets today at Braves.com. 1-0 Los Angeles. Eric O'Flaherty in with the bases empty, and Chase Utley coming up.
Eric could use a clean inning. He's already got one out thanks to Withrow, but seems like every time lately he's been out there, he's either had hits or walks or both.
Well, Utley's had none of those things in this series. He is hitless. 0 for 7 with 5 strikeouts. This is Utley's 190th career game against the Braves. Only Jimmy Rollins has played more.
Well, he came, 1-2. Sorry, Chip. He came home too. He's from Southern California. Went to UCLA. This was a great move for him. If this is where he winds up his career.
In the air towards center. That'll chase Enciarte back a few steps. Utley is 0 for 4 again. Flaherty gets his first man. And here's Corey Seager.
Corey Seager.
Seager's grounded out to second twice. He's walked once. And he launches one to the left side. Castro and Garcia. Little confusion, and it's Adonis Garcia who calls off the shortstop. And Seager and the Dodgers are done in the 7th. 9-1-2 coming up for Atlanta. Only need 1 run to tie in game 2.
Okay, fans, it's time to play the emoji game presented by
history. First rookie in the Dodgers history to hit 3 home runs in a game. And that's our Yellowwood bringing the lumber feature.
What a night. First 2 homers to right. Then the Braves bring in Hunter Cervenka, and he hits one to left off Cervenka. 22 years old.
So after Kershaw and Joe Blanton, now it's young Pedro Baez's turn to pitch. This is his 3rd year with the Dodgers. Made the opening day roster last year. And pitched the whole year with the big league club.
Hard thrower. 96 to 99 on his fastball with a slider and change. Not like the Braves need a ton of base runners. They just need a base runner to try to get them around to tie it up.
Baez, a converted player. He was a 3rd baseman in the minor leagues. Hit 45 home runs in 507 minor league games from 2007 to 2012. And was converted to the mound in 2013, and here he is very quickly. And he will face Malik Smith, who will pinch hit for Eric O'Flaherty. Strike outside corner. Alex had a couple of singles last night. In his last 30 games, he's got a .302 average, 15 RBIs, and 14 runs scored. Big crowd here tonight, 47,126. Not surprising in Los Angeles. Beautiful night. And LA trying to pick up a game in the West against the Giants, who were beaten by St. Louis today.
More than they had last night.
LA's averaging over 45,000 fans a game. Alex hanging tough, no balls, 2 strikes.
Really a well-lit ballpark too, isn't it? It's always been bright in all parts of the park. No shadows in the outfield. Really tall light standards in the outfield too. About that.
Strike 3, grazed the outside corner, and Alex Smith is struck out by Baez to start the 8th inning. Hope you'll stay with us for Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. We will hear from Braves skipper Brian Snitker, and I'm sure we'll hear from Bud Norris too. He deserves a big pat on the back, as we were alluding to earlier.
Yeah, he pitched great, absolutely great, and to go 5 innings, hit for himself. What he did in the top of the 6th, got hit by a pitch, made his way into scoring position, then came out of the game after the inning.
A laser hit foul by Inciarte, strike 1.
Got to get this guy going. Got to get him on base more, or make a switch at the top of the order. Ender's just not getting on base much. 0 for 7 in this series,
and 1 for his last 23. It's funny how that's gone in cycles too. Remember, we had a traffic back in Atlanta. Ender has really thrived hitting first, but has since cooled off. He's one of 5 different men to lead off a game for the Braves this year. The 0-2 pitch is wasted high, 1-2. Those 2 men will be in the game for the bottom of the 8th. But up high.
Yeah, he can bring it. Cut there by Ender to fight that off and see another pitch.
And a base hit to right. It's a big league at bat for Ender Inciarte. That brings the go-ahead run to the plate for Atlanta. And it's Chase Darno.
That was a real good at bat and a real good swing.
Darno chasing down his 7th multi-hit game of the year. He's 1 for 3 tonight.
And to hustle to get it too. And Utley made that diving stop on him when it looked like he was headed for right field, and Darno had to dive at first base to beat the toss. Love to get one more guy in scoring position for both Darno and Freddie Freeman.
No balls hit a strike. Now it's even. We're approaching 10 o'clock Pacific time. It has cooled to a beautiful 62 degrees. Dodgers lead the Braves 1-0. Their run came across in the 3rd.
Outfield deep, but then Chuck Peterson plays deep all the time.
Two balls and a strike. Runner goes. The pitch is strike. Throw to second. Got it. And Ender Inciarte with the left hand does a Dikembe Mutombo finger shake. But the Braves are out of challenges.
Got no challenge.
And now Brian Snitker's going to come out and talk with Joe West. Maybe about a crew chief challenge this late in the ball game.
Right. Good jump.
And I think what Ender's saying is the tag was high up on the thigh. And so Brian Snitker, out of challenges, can request a crew chief review. And we'll see if there's enough evidence to change the call of out at second base.
I think this is the best angle. Man, that's a tough one. That's so close, I don't know that they will overturn that. One of the things, and as I'm watching that slide, that's what brings back to mind Davey Lopes, who had a string of stolen bases for years. It was crazy, but without getting caught. high stolen base percentage. And one of the things that made him successful was his slide. He didn't slide head first, but he slid late, and he had a little patch of dirt on the hip pocket of his pants, real small, about the size of a small saucer, because he slid late and kept his speed going. Watch Ender here. Watch how long his foot is on the ground there going into the bag. That just slows you down the more you're on the dirt.
And we've talked about this before. It's almost as if the stolen base has gone the way of the dodo in Major League Baseball. The sabermetric analysis is that the risk of a stolen base is not worth the potential reward of it, and as such, I wonder if many teams are teaching players exactly what you taught, how to slide efficiently on a stolen base attempt.
It's so hard to teach guys to slide by the time they get to the minor leagues, to change the way they slide for fear of getting hurt. Even trying to teach them how to change which leg they tuck when they slide. That's hard to do. I don't know that I could have done that.
But obviously this is a huge call in this game. If NCRT is ruled safe, then the Braves would have the tying run at second with one out, and Brian Snitker can't believe it. The Braves are 0 for second base tonight.
Call stands.
So the call stands. And if a picture says 1,000 words, that tells you all you need to know about what Brian Snitker thinks of how second base has worked out for the Braves tonight. So NCRT gunned down trying to steal. It's 2-2 count for d'Arnaud. And with one more pitch, that sends the game to the bottom of the 8th inning. 1-0 Los Angeles.
Sponsored by Synovus, the bank of here. And Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Well, the Braves very frustrated with the calls at second base tonight. A couple of Dodgers stolen bases were upheld on review. Ender NCRT appeared to have beaten the rap at second in a 1-0 game, but was ruled out. And a very long discussion with Bo Porter and Kerwin Danley took place in between innings. Porter still in the game, but it's been that kind of night offensively for Atlanta. They've out-hit the Dodgers again, but trail where it counts, and Alexi Ogando is on for the home 8th.
Ogando did not pitch last night. He'd worked 2 innings in that last game in Atlanta, but he's got a string of 10 straight scoreless appearances.
Braves needed to go to 11. They have a shot tonight. They'll have the middle of their order coming up when we get to the 9th inning. It's 1-0 Dodgers. And it's way outside, ball 2. Clayton Kershaw started for LA, went 6 innings, 3 hits, struck out 4, the fewest strikeouts for Kershaw since mid-May 2 years ago against Arizona, when he lasted only an inning and 2/3. And gave up 7 runs against the Diamondbacks.
I'd have had to have been there to believe that.
You're right. But I think that was the real bottoming out of the season for Kershaw. From that point on, he went on an incredible roll in 2014, which continued last year and has continued into 2016. And if the score holds, he'll tie Felix Hernandez with his 8th victory with 1 run of support. Back.
Look what a good job the Braves pitchers have done the last 2 nights. Last night they got beat 4-2 and only gave up 5 hits because 4 of them were solo homers. Tonight they're getting beat 1-0 and they've out hit the Dodgers 5-3. And 2 of the 3 hits for the Dodgers came in the 3rd inning when they got their only run.
In the air towards center, Inciarte got a good jump but overran the ball, and it's up against the wall. And Turner will stutter step into second base, and that's a huge run for the Dodgers in scoring position.
Inciarte got a great jump on this. You can see him at the top of your screen. And then realized he couldn't catch it and got himself in no man's land, trying to keep it from getting by him, and didn't. They sit in an error, I would guess. They're going to charge. They're going to say it's a double.
Yep.
Goodness.
So Adrian Gonzalez is the batter. An insurance run at second for LA. Nobody out. Gonzalez 0 for 6 in the series. Nothing in 1 at 10 o'clock Pacific time for Gonzalez. Side. That'll be a productive out. Runner at third, 1 away. And it's Trace Thompson coming up.
Right fielder number 21, Trace Thompson.
Pretty nice job there by Adrian Gonzalez. Yes, he wanted to get a base hit and drive in the run, but he wanted to pull the ball, and even though he didn't hit it hard, he got the job done.
So Thompson's the key man in the inning.
Braves bullpen got busy again, and this is to buy time for Ian Kroll, who just got up.
Well, to dovetail on your point about how good the Braves pitching has been, and it has been, your pitching as far as wins and losses are concerned is only going to be as good as the offense that supports it, including tonight's game. Over the last 14 played, Braves have scored a total of 33 runs. That's a little more than 2 per game.
Just not enough. Those 2 games they won against the Giants were close contests. Had 5 in one of those. I think they won the game 5-3.
They won a game 5-3 and a game 5-4. So that's 10 of the 33.
Yeah, and in that first one in particular, I remember they had a nice 5-1 lead or something, made it 5-3 in the 9th. But it was one of those games where they actually got to relax somewhat because they had an early lead.
Infield comes in for Thompson. Strike on the outside edge. Part of the Braves' run-scoring frustrations has been, as we've said, runners in scoring position. Last 16 games, including tonight, 17 hits and 124 at-bats, including 0 for 8 tonight, and 0 for 7 against Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, that's just a killer against him.
And that's a little low, even count. Dodgers are rolling at home. They've won 8 of their last 10 here at Dodger Stadium. They're leading late tonight in game 2. And a good stop by Flowers. Power there, and Thompson fouled it straight back.
Yeah, 95 from Alexi on that one. Say this for Ogando, boy. He comes after you, right over the top and right after you.
Let's see what he and Flowers come up with now. Two balls, 2 strikes. Wow, what another good stop by Tyler on a ball in the dirt.
Yeah, that was one of those that they want the slider for a chase, but if it doesn't start close enough to the plate, Thompson's not going to chase it. Just boy, oh boy, what a stop. Goodness. That ball started off the plate outside and then broke further away. I'm going to stick with the slider.
And out of play. What's left of a big crowd of 47,000 plus. Encouraging Trace Thompson. And another fly ball foul. What about it? It's no slam dunk to get Trace Thompson. He's been red hot at home. A .352 hitter at Dodger Stadium.
Back to the fastball. And Alexei got away with one there. Wanted it away and then had a lot of the plate.
Great at bat by Thompson to earn a walk. And Dodger runners are at the corners, and one man is out. Fans follow Braves Baseball Live with MLB.com and Bats app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day. Live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and your tablet. That's all for Alexei Ogando. The bullpen parade continues for Atlanta. We'll tell you who's on the pitch to Jock Peterson in a moment. Saturday, June 25th for a free post-game concert, all part of the Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines Summer Concert Series. It'll be one you don't want to miss. Go to Braves.com/concerts and get your tickets today. It'll be Ian Kroll now to face Jock Peterson.
Ian's been awfully tough on left-handed hitters. They're just 2 for 19 against him. Both hits were singles. 8 strikeouts.
He could use another strikeout here or a double play, obviously. Got to keep an eye on Thompson. That's off the pitcher's glove. There'll be no play. Dodgers lead 2-0.
Remember a while ago when I said something about being unconventional? I mean, to me, this is like old school Dodger stuff right here. Send the runner from first. Peterson decides to drop a bunt down, drags it, gets it past the pitcher. They get the extra run and still have the inning going.
That run belongs to Alexei Ogando. Thompson at second. And Peterson with a surprise party drops a bunt to extend the lead. Now Howie Kendrick's up. And a swing and a miss.
That's kind of Dave Roberts type baseball right there in the way he played.
Now the runners go. The throw to third is going to be late. A double steal for the Dodgers. And Trayce Thompson has a 3 stolen base night. He had 1 stolen base coming into play tonight.
And it's 5, I believe, on the night for the Dodgers.
Yep, Kendrick had 1, Thompson has 3, and Peterson, the trailing runner, gets 1 as well. And now Atlanta will walk Kendrick intentionally. A.J. Ellis, the Dodger catcher, is waiting on deck. Atlanta hoping for a double play.
John Gant, who was called up today, with Fultonevich going on the disabled list, begins to loosen up.
And he's coming in.
There's another slide with the foot on the ground, seemingly forever in slow motion. Tag on the back of the foot.
So that's all for Ian Kroll. Braves have their 3rd pitcher in relief in the 8th inning. It'll be John Gant. Field with our Braves Country 5K on Saturday, June 11th. It's your last chance to cross the finish line on the field. Each 5K registration includes a Braves game ticket and a short sleeve Mizuno shirt. Go to Braves.com/5K today. So the man with the Vulcan changeup, John Gant, is on the pitch.
Well, I hope he can prosper here because the sacks are full of Dodgers. There is numbers at Gwinnett. This is his 4th stint with the big league club. His last outing with Gwinnett was one he'd like to forget. Back on the 30th of May, 5 runs in 6 2/3 innings and 11 hits. And he needs a ground ball here and a double play. And Braves can come up in the 9th, only down 2.
Got the right man up there, the catcher A.J. Ellis. Bases loaded. And a drive out of play, foul. A 5 stolen base game for the Dodgers, their most in over 2 years. Again, 5 steals against Arizona. They pick on the Diamondbacks a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
LA had 16 stolen bases as a team coming into tonight's game. Fly ball toward left, but playable for Francoeur. He's got it. Tagging at 3rd is Thompson. He will score on a sacrifice fly. It's 3-0. Talk about manufacturing runs. Dodgers have manufactured a pair in the 8th to extend the lead. Give Ellis his 9th run batted in.
Aggressive, if not daring, offense and base running by the Dodgers to set it up.
So Yasmani Grandal will come on and pinch hit for Baez. Baez worked scoreless inning with a couple of strikeouts. Grandal had a pretty healthy cut. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kenley Jansen's the LA closer. He's getting ready for the 9th. It looks like he'll come in even if LA extends the lead and makes it a non-safe situation.
He's already fired up, ready to go.
Popped out of play over the LA dugout. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That was the changeup.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Runner at first goes, and that pitch is served into shallow left. Francoeur can't get there. Another run is in. The throw to third is late. A blue pit for Grandal makes it 4-0 LA. A pinch hit single for Yasmani Grandal.
Jeff was playing him over near the line. He dumped it in out behind shortstop. Hendrick was running on the play, so he made it to third easily. Grandal joins the fun by coming off the bench. We showed you Trace Thompson in the dugout a minute ago before the base hit. What a night that guy's had without getting a hit, right? He's 0 for 1 with 3 walks, 3 stolen bases, and a run scored here in the 8th.
I know you played in the era where the stolen base was such a big part of the game. I grew up and fell in love with baseball in the early 80s with the Cardinals and all their speedsters. We're seeing what a wonderful weapon it can be in a game just like this tonight. Yeah, home runs are exciting. Man, you put the runners in motion, creates all kinds of issues for the defensive club. As this one's 1 hop to Freddie Freeman. And it'll send our game to the 9th inning. Los Angeles with 5 stolen bases, 2 of them in the 8th. They scored 3 runs as a result, and it's now 4-0 Dodgers. talk about that with you on Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. A frustrating night for Atlanta on a night when Clayton Kershaw was very good, but not great. Atlanta was in a 1-0 game through 7. Went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. 7 of those opportunities against the Dodger left-hander. And in what's turned out to be a battle of the bullpens late, 3 8th-inning runs gives Kenley Jansen a 4-run cushion to play with in this, his 23rd outing.
Yeah, he got his 16th save last night. He did give up a base hit to Kelly Johnson, but that was all he allowed. And he'll face Freddie Freeman to start the 9th. The 3 stolen bases by Trace Thompson was the most for a Dodger since May of 2014, and the most by a Dodger rookie since 2011 when D. Gordon did it.
So Freddie Freeman leads off the Atlanta 9th. Freddie's 1 for 3. And Kenley Jansen's first is taken low. As we mentioned, Kenley Jansen has had his share of issues with the Braves. No wins, 2 losses, 9 saves, but a hefty .579 earned run average. That's 12 earned runs over 19 games and 18 2/3 innings of work, and 5 home runs. Braves need a ton of base runners here in the night.
Yeah, barring a big rally here, it's going to take at least 4 just to tie. Braves are going to put a lot of weight on Matt Whistler tomorrow.
We'll hook up with Scott Kazmir in the series wrap up. And Jansen sprays one high, 3 balls and a strike. Full count. That's out of play. It's still 3-2.
He got around on that fastball or cutter. There was a lot of cutters.
There's a start. Freddie Freeman walks.
You bet.
3rd walk of the series for the Braves first baseman. And that'll bring up Jeff Francoeur.
The fielder number 18, Jeff Francoeur.
Jeff tallied the first Braves hit back in the 2nd inning, took 2nd on a balk. And then Clayton Kershaw got mad. He struck out Markakis. He got Tyler Flowers to ground out to 3rd, and then Adonis Garcia struck out to end the first Braves threat of the game.
I thought Jeff had maybe the key at bat of the night. When the Braves had runners at 1st and 2nd, the runner at 2nd was Bud Norris, and Jeff had a good at bat against Kershaw and hit a rocket that almost hit Norris, the base runner, but was handled by Seager at shortstop to end the inning.
So Freddie Freeman's at 2nd base after the walk. You and I were talking, was there a balk? Guess so. An error on Jansen. And a high pop right side. Will it stay in play? It will. Thompson at the wall. Freddie will tag and move to third.
You can be charged with an error if you drop the ball. If your foot's on the rubber and you drop the ball, that's the only thing I can think of that Jansen might have done. And that's also a balk.
So there's the ball 4 pitch. Oh, he threw it out of play. Time was not called, and Kenley Jansen just threw that ball out of play. So that's the error.
What a dingbat.
Liner foul. We've seen players do that in the outfield. Larry Walker is a famous replay where he flipped the ball in the stands thinking there was 2 outs and there was only 1. And then he had to go in and grab the ball from a fan and fire it back toward the infield.
I think that happened right here, right?
Might have.
So. I don't know if Charlie Liebrandt can stay up this late anymore. But bless his heart. He recorded his 1,000th career strikeout at the Vet in Philadelphia. And after the 1,000th strikeout, he got the ball back and then just threw it toward the dugout without calling time. And then went racing after the ball because it was rolling toward the dugout. And unfortunately for him, he didn't catch the baseball. He wasn't able to catch up to it.
Didn't get there in time.
No, and there was a runner aboard who was able to advance.
Yeah, you just take it for granted the time's called.
Yeah,
but you have to request it. It's up to the umpire to grant it.
I can see it clear as day though. Charlie threw the ball and then he threw his hands in the air like, I meant to call time.
Retroactive timeout. Doesn't work. As Markakis awaits the 0-2 pitch and then scorched beyond the Dodger dugout. That ball was hunting.
Chance for Nick to pick up an RBI. Would be his 30th.
Braves trying to spoil the shutout at the very least. It's 4-0. And Markakis is down on strikes. 2 outs. And here's Tyler Flowers, the final hope. The Dodgers are trying for their 8th shutout this year.
I'm told Kenley Jansen lost a game here against San Diego while he was cleaning his spikes behind the rubber. And a run scored.
Didn't call time?
I guess not.
Oh, man. Braves trying to avoid their 7th shutout. Tyler Flowers with Freddie Freeman standing at third. Dodger fans are on their feet. 2 strikes, 2 outs in the ninth. Now the 1-2 pitch. He overthrew 2 in a row.
Trying to air one out. A hit in the count, trying to elevate it, see if he'd chase. Got Nick to do that. Trying to get Tyler to do it.
That's your ball game. Kenley Jansen strikes out Tyler Flowers. The Dodgers have their 30th win. Los Angeles joins the Nationals, the Mets, the Cubs, and the Giants in the 30-win club in 2016 National League play. 4-0 Los Angeles. They've won the series in 3 hours and 27 minutes. Braves will try to salvage Game 3 tomorrow, and we'll talk about that and Game 2 right after this.